So I thought I'd make today's video a little bit about the decision to get a Tesla. As you can see, I'm not in my Tesla. I'm in my Chevy Volt, which will be the car that I'm selling, getting ready to move into a Tesla. And just as an example, over this past weekend, we used the Volt to go on a couple of different road trips, and again, it worked really great for us. But I think one of the primary reasons that I'm looking forward to getting into a Tesla is the speed of charge, the convenience of charging, the rate of charge. I think certainly will be just a welcome to the charging experience, because in the Volt, in this model of Volt, it's very slow, and even I think in the latest one they increased it a bit, but it's still extremely slow compared to a Tesla. So just as an example, as I mentioned in my first post, we live in Colorado, and so this past weekend we went on a trip down to Colorado Springs to a balloon festival, and the car was charged up overnight, so there was a full charge. But we left that morning, and literally on the way down there, used up all of the Volt battery, and then it switched over to the extended range, which is basically a gas generator that runs the car on electricity, but it's producing it through a gas engine. And that works wonderfully well. And like I say, the car, I think the Volt ends up being very efficient because, or at least efficient for the kind of vehicle that it is because, when you're on downhills or you're on flat, it is, it often when you're downhill, it just turns the engine off, the gas engine, and it puts energy back into the battery. And we had that on a few parts of the drive on Saturday. And then on Monday, yesterday, Labor Day, we took a trip down to a place called Buena Vista and did some whitewater rafting. And driving over there, like I said, mostly using the battery because it's mostly climbing into the mountains. And then shortly after we started the trip, again, the small, I want to say it's like a 16 kilowatt battery pack in the Volt. It's something around that. So it uses up pretty quickly, especially when you're going into the mountains. The range usually starts out in the summertime around 64 is what I show on the gauge, if you will, but it uses that up rather quickly, and then you're again back on the generator for the rest of the trip. But the range with the generator is 350 or so miles, and when you get that combined with the battery, you can go over 400 miles of range in the car. So again, really, really convenient in terms of using them together. And the other thing I reference is why this car's worked so well for me is, 99% of my driving is commuting back and forth to work, and my work is a less than a 25 mile commute one way, so 50 miles round trip, and so I can almost always get that mileage in without having to. If I didn't, I wouldn't have to recharge during the day, although at my work they have chargers, and so we can charge there. So that's even an added benefit, as I can get to work, and if I need to top off it, I can do that. But if I'm unable to, I can certainly do a round trip and charge back up at night when I'm at home. So anyway, so the car's worked very well for me in that respects. I think I'm 98 or something % of my driving is using the battery. So anyway, that works really well. So back to the decision on a Tesla. I'm finding that the slow rate of charge in this car, makes it difficult if you're really wanting to take road trips and then be able to charge up along the way, right? Tesla is really the way to go. The charging network, the rate of charge in the vehicle. I saw that they've come out with the new version 3 superchargers, which will make charging even that much faster. if I'm understanding it correctly, it sounds like around 15 minutes of charge could give you like 180 miles of range, which is pretty phenomenal. I can't think of a time where we didn't make a stop in any kind of vehicle and we were back in the car in less than 15 minutes, because you're usually always, restroom breaks and things like that. You're always stopping somewhere. So anyway, I think that will be a wonderful feature. And then the other aspect certainly is the safety of the vehicle, the autopilot. On my 2 trips this past weekend, this Labor Day weekend, I could have easily used the basic autopilot, I guess lane keep assist and the basic features would have been even just wonderful in some stop and go traffic, because going up into the mountains on a Labor Day weekend, you're constantly dealing with lines of cars and stop and go. So it was kind of a mess. And then just full self-driving, I think, will be just even that much more capable and certainly more welcome. We make drives east and west of Denver, some of them long trips, and the idea of being able to turn on full self-driving and have it get you from point A to point B, and just not having to have your mind completely sort of devoted to the driving experience and let the car take some of that, I think, to me, would be wonderful. And since I do most of the driving, and I've had some trips where I've certainly felt the fatigue. Most trips, even just yesterday coming back from Buena Vista after rafting, again, there was a lot of stop and go traffic coming back into the Denver metro, and to have either autopilot or full self-driving enabled would have been really, really wonderful. So anyway, I'm looking forward to that. So if you have questions, I'm going to be putting this car up for sale very soon. I did some cleanup yesterday, took pictures. I'll be getting them posted online, and then I think once I have a good sense for what the sales price or what this car will get me, then I'll look at placing my order. So if some of you are wondering why I'm not placing my order yet, it's just simply because I want to understand the where I'm at financially on this car, and then putting it into the next car, and down payment and all those sorts of things. I'm someone who likes to understand all the pieces of the transaction before I jump in. So anyway, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments, and subscribe to my channel if you want to keep following my experience. And we'll see you again tomorrow. I'll try and do maybe these daily video vlogs as I'm going back and from work. And certainly if you have questions about the Volt, like I said, I've really loved this car. I think it's a great car. I'm actually surprised that other automakers didn't do something similar, because I think it's a good bridge car, bridges people and gets them into electric without some of the worry, or just having to think about where they're going to charge. With this car, you've got the battery backup. I'm sorry, you've got the gasoline backup, and so again, if you're using it regularly within the 60-some mile range that it has, it's just it's an easy car to live with and to use. So aside from some of the downsides of the back seat is not a full 3-seater, even though they say it is, maybe that's a video for another day. But again, for my circumstances and needs, it's been a great car. So anyway, we'll talk to you again soon. Later.